Sleep. Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep. I never read. I've honestly never read really any of the Stephen King books. I've seen a lot of the movies, miniseries, and I know about the expanded lore. Never read this one. Carrie Ann has. Sequel to The Shining, more or less, dealing more in depth in that world, delving a bit more into The Shining. Not necessarily what The Shining is. It's more or less just individuals with psychic powers. And you're dealing with an adult Danny Torrance, finding terrible ways to cope, but coping. Diving into alcoholism and then, AA and all that stuff. And there's a separate group of, we don't know let's never explain what they are. It's implied they are shiners as well, but they're shiners who kind of went down a dark path and kill people and suck out their shining, if you will. To suck out they're vampires, basically. They feed on you to sustain their immortality. And look, it's a good movie. It's actually a very good movie. Like, the actors are all fantastic. Love the little girl. In fact, you know what? Let me just I've got my computer right here. Let me get the cast list up. Who played Abba? Dr. Sleep. There we go. Yeah, her name's Abba. She was great. She was fantastic. Because honestly, we get Danny, who, even as an adult, is rightfully scared of these people. But then you get this 13-year-old girl with The Shining, and it was shown to be pretty much like a prodigy. Kylie Curran? It was very much shown to be a prodigy. And she she's not afraid of these people at all. Now, granted, it scares her what she sees them do, but later she confronts them on multiple occasions. And even confronts them like the old lady in the bathtub comes back from The Shining. And she stands up and is staring at Abba, but Abba's just like, try it, bitch. I'm like, yes, because that's kind of how a kid these days would act compared to what you get with young Danny back in The Shining. Ewan McGregor's actually really good. Honestly, Rebecca Ferguson's the stand-up though. Rose the Hut. She's actually just really fun to watch. You see her, they are the villains, but they're her and her group. Barry the Chuck, Grandpa Flick, Snakebite Addie, Crow Daddy, all these basically vampiric shiners. They're doing terrible things. Jacob Tremblay is in there briefly as another shiner. Yeah, he's he doesn't make it out alive. Let's just keep it at that. There's a very brutal scene involving him. Despite the fact they're doing terrible things to innocent people just to sustain their existence, you do get the impression that, generally speaking, when they're not doing this, they're traveling they're vagabonds. They're gypsies almost. They just travel, or hippies. They just they're living out of an RV. They're grilling. They're honestly just living their lives and enjoying their lives. The only time they're really doing terrible things is when they're doing it to people to sustain their existence. Unfortunately, that taints your soul, and they're pretty much terrible people because of it. But you see that there's good in there in terms of just how they can generally care for each other. But at the same time, when one of them dies, bursts in the dust, their shining mist, they immediately crowd around them like a pack of animals and, eat them. But no, she's fantastic. What I really liked about her and Kylie, Abra Stone is the name of the character, Abra, is that she not once but twice, Rose the Hot, as her name is, and she is Irish. That's why I'm doing the accent. She not once but twice gets one up by her, seriously, messed up by her. At one point, she lures her into a trap in her mind, and it's actually hilarious to see. Just oh, holy crap, what the hell? So that was really great to watch, actually, to see it turned on her head. Who? Matt Clark, Short Eddie? No. Who was Zachary Moe? David Stone? No. Who was the Fred? I've seen that actor before too, multiple times. I just can't remember his name. The guy who plays, I think his name's Bill. Is that it? Basically, Dan's more or less his best friend at this point. The guy who helped get him back on his feet. I love seeing him. And he's really good throughout the film. So I just like seeing that actor. It's really cool. And there's a great scene where he believes Danny. They go out to find the body of the kid who got killed, who ends up getting killed. There's multiple kids who get killed, but the main one you see in the movie that gets killed. And it's like, you told me this crazy story, and I don't know. In one hand, if we go there, find nothing, just means my best friend is crazy. Like, literally, mental breakdown, crazy. But if you're right, yeah, I know, it's even worse. And yeah, it's right. And he's not just like the friend who's just stuck in the middle. No, he actually helps kill a bunch of these guys too, which is awesome. Like, yeah, you're badass in your own right. Woo! Best way I can put this, though, is that this movie is a slow burn in many ways. This movie is, how long? Where's my link for this film? Yeah, 2.5 hours. Like, 2 hours, 31 minutes, so 2.5 hours. It felt like that, but at the same time in a good way, because I was engaged with what I was watching. It's just like showing off where Danny was after the events of The Shining, and then where he is in his life at the beginning, and then where he ends up, and then leading into like the main story of this conflict with these like evil shiners, these cannibalistic shiners, I guess we'll call them. It is slow in its pacing for that, but it's a good slow. It's taking its time, and it's giving you the information you need. Like, we don't actually need the information of what these people actually are, what they've done to change themselves. All we need to know is that they're terrible people with psychic abilities as well. And they're coming for this main character. Where the film, and what's the best way for me to put it here? Where the film loses its beat a little, like, where the film doesn't drop the ball. Drop the ball is not the right term. But where the film not even struggles, where it starts to go off the hinges a little bit, where it starts to deviate, I guess is the right way to put it, is when we get to the third act. Technically, probably the last quarter. Now, which you've seen in the movies or trailer, he goes back to the hotel. That's where the final act takes place. And the references to the original film throughout the entire film actually work pretty well. Like, they get a good actor, they get a good actress who looks like Shelley Duvall to act as Shelley Duvall. So they do a good job there. So when we see her with young Danny, and the scenes with apparently Holloway, they brought, I'm pretty certain, since I got the IMDb up, come on, Holloway, come on, because that was his name. I'm trying to remember that was the character's name. I'm trying to find him on the list here. Dick Holloway, that was it. Carl Lundgren. Now, was he the original guy? Because if he was the original guy, they did a great. That was a great callback. Obviously, spoilers, if you haven't seen the original Shining, he did. He died in the original Shining. So when we open up with him talking to Danny on a bench in one scene, I'm like, wait a minute. No, I'm just, again, making sure if he was in the original or not. When did the original come out again? It's 1970 or 1980 something. Okay, so he wasn't the original guy. I think the original guy's probably gone at this point, unfortunately. Wow, I'm blanking for a second there. And they actually got someone, we'll get to talk about that in just a second. But anyway, the scenes with him, I'm like, okay, wait, isn't he dead? Or it's a ghost? Because The Shining, you'll see not just the living, but spirits. So yeah, it was really cool to see that character back and the interactions he has with Danny. And then the interactions, because apparently they come back, is a kind of almost like Pet Cemetery. They come back is a terminology, or something he says to Abra at one point, because he had to deal with pretty much all the Shining, the house, the Overlook spirits coming after him, and he had to seal them all up. So we keep getting the thing, a running thing a little bit with the woman in the bathtub, till at one point he goes in to use the bathroom and just, you hear her scream, and then it just comes back. I was like, yeah, I'm okay, Mom. But But yeah, throughout most of the film, the references to the original movie are fine. They're not subtle per se, but they tie in well to the story. Once we get back to the Overlook, though, it's like this movie quickly goes in a much different route. Now, I kind of spoil a bit here. Not going to really say how this ends. All I'm going to say is they took cues, I'm guessing, from the original book, or maybe Dr. Sleep itself, the book, and from one of the interpretations of the actual Shining, be it the movie or the miniseries. Now, I'm not going to say which it is, but you can probably infer what I'm getting at. I'm like, wow, they literally ended it like that one. Okay. And it's not that the final act is bad. It's entertaining, especially when Rebecca Ferguson rows the hut. Which, by the way, she does not keep that Irish accent throughout the entire movie. Like, she starts out with it in the movie, but it's kind of like Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch. She eventually just loses it, and that's fine. She's entertaining as hell to begin with, so I can deal with it. But like when she finally actually meets Danny, that confrontation is interesting because she's like, "Oh, where have you been hiding?" And she at one point she like tries to she's sucking out his this Shining. It's like, "You taste like whiskey." I mean, she's like so getting into it, like, Jesus, like, are you like legitimately getting an orgasm out of this? I would not have been surprised. So yeah, it goes off the rails a little bit, definitely, but at the same time, it's not like it doesn't tie in together by the end of the movie. It still works. It's just that the first like 3 acts versus the final fourth are much better than the final act. The final act's decent, but the first 3 is really the meat of the story. Besides that, there's not much I can complain. They could have shortened it a bit. They could have. I wasn't looking at my watch, right? I don't have a watch. I wasn't looking at my phone or anything, but it did feel like it was dragging its, particularly when Danny gets back to the hotel. It's just about 5 minutes of him just walking around. It's like, I gotta wake it up. Just walking around with the lights turning on. That's about it. It's like, okay. All right, let's get. All right, here we go. So, yeah, it's just it loses a little bit of its stride there. I would have liked a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. They explain the stuff they really have to explain. But I'll be honest, you could have shortened maybe about 15 minutes of this and given me about, I don't know, 2-minute explanation of what exactly these evil shiners are, because it's implied they aren't human anymore. Like they recruit someone in the beginning to their ranks or their family, their group, whatever. And excuse me. And she asks the question, "Am I still human?" And she goes, "Does it matter?" It's not really, but I would like an answer to that. Like, what are you guys at this point? Are you human? Are you not? Clearly, they're not a human. It's clear they're something else at this point. They look human and all that, but they're not. They've kind of transcended it in some ways. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good movie, though. That I can definitely say. They delve deep in a bit more into the not psychosis, but the mentality of Danny. How he tried to cope with it. There's a great scene involving him in the Overlook. I won't spoil exactly what goes down there, but yeah, it's a pretty good scene. So ultimately, I don't have much else to say. When I see a really good movie, like when I see a movie that I loved, I'll gush about it, go into lots of detail, like Endgame, because it's comic books and all that. I loved Endgame. But when it's a movie that's just good, with what I couldn't see as too many like real big flaws, then there's only so much I can say about it. We did get a lot of trailers. I don't have my book in front of me right now, my little trailer booklet. But we did get a lot of trailers. I got like 8 trailers. Here's something I'm going to complain about, though, and it has nothing to do with the movie. It has to do with the theaters. Seriously, I don't care about how many trailers I get. You need to shorten your. I don't care. I don't care if you need to advertise some things. You need to shorten your commercials. Seriously, you played the same commercial twice. You want to know how long it took from when I sat down from when the movie's supposed to start to when the movie actually started? I actually timed that 25 minutes. I went in there 7:15, and it was 7:40 by the time the movie actually started. That is freaking ridiculous. Like, there's no justification for that whatsoever. You guys really need to work on that. Not just Cinemark, like AMC, all those companies need to work on that. But ultimately, Dr. Sleep, I enjoyed it very much. I'll be curious to hear if you'll enjoy it or not. Tomorrow, I will probably go out and catch Arctic Dogs. I promised Jaden the Critic I would, because you asked for it. So yes, I will be seeing Arctic Dogs. That will probably be the only other movie I see this week. There's plenty that came out this week, but honestly, I just don't have the time to see all of them. I'd probably just burn myself out doing all of that. Till then, though, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. I do have a Who Would Win to do. I'll get to it later.